the other side of the river, the tree of life, which bears 12 fruits, and yielded her fruit every month, and the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations. The world has been waiting eagerly with anticipation for today's doctors to find a cure for cancer and other diseases that has been disabling or killing our loved ones as far back as we can remember. Unfortunately, we haven't had much luck at all. Even with billions of dollars going into research for cures of these deadly diseases, they still haven't found anything, as far as we know. The solutions that doctors have been giving us has changed dramatically over the past decades. Do you think they got it right this time? Or have they been profiting at the expense of our loved ones to build a massive empire of power and wealth instead? With an estimated margin profit of $34 billion a year, it definitely raises some serious questions. Over 100 years ago, the only medicine available was plant medicine. Then in 1992, the evil empire called the pharmaceutical company started putting patents on plant medicine and made a few changes to the structure. The medicine was still pretty good at the time. Then by the second generation, they got carried away and believed they knew more than God and nature and made it more dangerous until now. If you listen to an ad on medicines, you would have to be nuts to take them. They say 2 or 3 good things and then 50 seconds of severe side effects. My question is this: how in the world are products like this on TV commercials or even being sold at all? Is this really the best solution they have come up with? The list of severe side effects of these drugs are endless, and it's clearly obvious that these pills are very bad for anyone. If a person is depressed, then it is your brain's natural way of letting you know that something is wrong in your life. It could mean that you don't like your job or something at home is bothering you. Whatever it is, it doesn't mean that we need chemical medication to solve the problem. That only makes things worse. Whenever a doctor cannot do good, he must be kept from doing harm. Hippocrates. The medical industry seems to be more interested in making profits as opposed to genuinely helping people. I notice how most people really trust in the health system and don't ask any questions at all concerning the side effects of these medications that their doctors prescribe to them. I have always been a naturalist, naturally. I believe that the body can heal itself naturally of anything, with the right foods, vegetables, and natural herbs. The Holy Bible teaches us that the herbs are for the healing of the nation. A man by the name of Dr. Sebi would live by this teaching, and apparently it worked wonders. This man is said to have cured people with sickle cell, blindness, AIDS, lupus, cancer, herpes, and pretty much everything else, using only selected natural herbs and super healthy foods. His real name was Alfredo Bowman, better known as Dr. Sebi. He was a Honduran herbalist, biochemist, and naturalist. Although he was not a real medical doctor, his patients and friends would call him doctor because of his ability to use natural herb medicine to cure people. Sebi helped heal some familiar celebrities, such as Michael Jackson, Lisa Left Eye Lopez, Steven Seagal, John Travolta, Eddie Murphy, and was an inspiration to Nipsey Hussle, who was in the process of making a documentary film on Dr. Sebi. Unfortunately, he was recently murdered on March 31st, 2019. Many believe that this was a government hit, but that's a whole other story.
What would you do differently in your life right now if you fully believed in yourself? And if you...
Why you think they killed him?
Why do they kill all holistic doctors? You short-stopping their grind. Why do niggas get killed for hustling in front of a nigga spot? You short-stopping the grind. And these niggas, they check is billions. You got niggas that get flipped for a couple $100,000. So you playing with some pharmaceutical money.
In 1995, Dr. Sebi was charged and had to defend himself in a few trials in New York for posting ads in the papers claiming that he can cure people with AIDS and other major diseases. Sebi won multiple cases against him. He asked the judge 3 questions.
Your Honor, is it a fact that the Holy Bible teaches that the herbs are for the healing of the nations? She said yes. Is it a fact that science shows that the human body is carbon-based? And to complement a carbon-based body, you must have a carbon-based substance to complement it, because the body only accepts the substance through the process of chemical affinity. Last question, Your Honor, is it a fact that the father of medicine, Mr. Hippocrates, the man that established the principle of medical science today, cured every disease known to man, did he use herbs or chemicals? She said herbs. I said, thank you very much. I rest my case.
In 2016, Sebi died in a Honduran prison, apparently due to complications of pneumonia, which was very odd considering he was an incredibly healthy man. Most of his followers questioned his arrest and death, claiming that there was a conspiracy to silence him because he taught the people the art of natural healing rather than the usual drastic medical approach. A chemical cannot assimilate with the human body. Only herbs can because they are electrical. Herbs are electrical, and we have yet to understand that. Chemical theory is an approach that destroys cells. It does not distinguish good cells from bad cells. It just destroys cells. It's an acid approach. Dr. Sebi's approach is an intracellular cleansing. What causes disease in the first place? Acid conditions. We need to sweep it out. We need to use plants that are consistent with cleansing. The man that established the principle of medical science today was known to have cured all diseases using only the natural herbs of the world. His name was Hippocrates, a Greek philosopher and physician who has been called the father of medicine. Let food be thy medicine, and medicine be thy food. A collection of ancient written works associated with Hippocrates and his teachings, known as the Hippocratic Corpus, was a huge influence on the development of medicine in the centuries that followed. Diet, sleep, work, and exercise were all seen as important factors that could play a role in producing and reversing the imbalance in humors that was believed to result in illness. Diseases were allowed to run their natural course, with treatment restricted mainly to the careful use of specific herbal medicines. Surgery was very much seen as a last resort. As his main unifying theory for the holistic understanding of the human organism and how it functions in health and disease, Hippocrates used the concept of the four humors. Health is a harmonious balance of the four humors. Disease results from their disharmony and imbalance. The physician's job is to restore health by correcting the imbalance and restoring harmony in the humors.
I'll never use another pair of protective underwear again. Right now, you can qualify for a free box.
Humoral theory. To quote Hippocrates, the body of man has in itself blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile. These make up the natures of the body, and through these he feels pain or enjoys health. Now, he enjoys the most perfect health when these elements are duly proportioned to one another in respect to compounding, power, and bulk, and when they are perfectly mingled. Pain is felt when one of these elements is in defect or excess, or is isolated in the body without being compounded by all the others. Any imbalance of these fluids will result in disease. An excess of black bile in a particular organ site was thought to cause cancer. This theory of cancer was standard through the Middle Ages for over 1300 years. The humoralis system of medicine was highly individualistic, for all patients were said to have had their own unique humoral composition. The four humors. When blood is drawn into a glass container and left undisturbed for about an hour, four different layers can be seen. A dark clot forms at the bottom, the black bile. Above the clot is a layer of red blood cells, the blood. Above this is a whitish layer of white blood cells, the phlegm. The top layer is a clear yellow serum, the yellow bile. Unification of humorism with Empedocles' model. Empedocles' theory suggests that four elements, earth, fire, water, and air, produce the natural systems. Since this theory was influential for centuries, later scholars paired qualities associated with each humor, as described by Hippocrates and Galen, with seasons and basic elements, as described by Empedocles. Empedocles challenged the practice of animal sacrifice and killing of any animals for food. Therefore, he was vegan. Hippocrates placed great emphasis on strengthening and building up the body's inherent resistance to disease. For this he prescribed diet, gymnastics, exercise, massage, hydrotherapy, and sea bathing. Hippocrates was a great believer in dietary measures in the treatment of disease. He prescribed a very slender light diet during the crisis stage of an acute illness and a liquid diet during the treatment of fevers and wounds. As a holistic healing system, Hippocratic medicine treated the patient and not just the disease. A wise man should consider that health is the greatest of human blessings and learn how by his own thought to derive benefit from his illness. Here are 3 Hippocrates health rules that have stood the test of time. Number 1. Walking. Walking is man's best medicine. Hippocrates' clinical studies observed people who walked more stayed well longer, so he often prescribed exercise. Dozens of studies show that even 30 minutes of walking a day lowers your risk for diabetes, heart disease, osteoporosis, and certain cancers. Number 2. Know what person the disease has, rather than what disease the person has. Hippocrates also observed patients' personalities, home environment, relationships, and diet before diagnosing and treating them. He believed that it was impossible to understand illness without understanding the whole person. Number 3. Let food be thy medicine. Hippocrates recognized that when people ate mainly a fresh plant-based diet, that they normally lived healthy lives and developed fewer diseases. His primary form of treatment was usually improving a patient's diet,